Thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about open research data as I have been introduced. My name is Margaret. So let us start see what is a research data. Research data are information collected, observed, generated, or created during the course of scientific research project. Type of research data includes qualitative data, quantitative data, experimental data, observational data, and secondary data. So let us see what is open research data. Open research data refer to the practice of making research data generated from research freely accessible, shared, and reusable by anyone. This research data can be stored and accessed through three main categories of research data repository. The first one is domain-specific or discipline repository, such as National Institution of Health Data Repository and the weather reports from national agencies and public census statistic. As in Tanzania, we have NBS, so all data concerning a census can be found at National Bureau of Statistics. The second one is general purpose, public open repository or open repositories such as Mendeley data, Zenodo, Dimension, and Harvard databases. These are repositories which include a variety of research data. The other one is institution research data repository. This is owned by the institution, in which the institution can decide to have their institution for data repository. I have shown some examples as we visited at South Africa as a student for RDM from Tanzania. We managed to see their data repository. So in South Africa, for example, University of Pretoria, they have UP data repository in which they put their data open to be accessed and reused by other persons. Also, University of South Africa, they have UNISA Research Data Repository. And also with university, they have with Open Data Vault. Here they store their data, they publish their data, and they made them accessible by other in the future. Most of those repositories are linked with FAIR data principle. In FAIR, we find it's findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So let us see FAIR data principle here in general as I'm going to explain. In findable principle, what does it mean? Findable principle, other can discover your data. In this, once you put your data open, other can discover your data. How can research imply in this? Findable, it provides metadata with your data set and ensure the data set as a persistent identified, permitted linked. For example, DOI, digital objective identifier. In this, once you want to store your research data, you make sure you link with the identifier in which someone can find the data easily. The other principle is accessible. Your data are available to other humans and machines. Anyone can access, even a human, or by using electronic devices of those machines can help you to link to access the data of your needs. How can research comply in accessible? Make data open if possible. If you cannot share the data for ethical, legal reasons, then provide relevant metadata and access information. The other principle is interoperable. Your data can be integrated with other data and ready for humans and machines. This is applied to researcher. Use common or open file format in which could help other to understand your data, to link your information instead of using appropriate synonyms which cannot be used, cannot be understandable by any person. Also, we have the last one is principle is reusable. Your data can be used in others. So your data can be used for the future. The future researcher can use your data in his research. This compared to researcher by documenting your data so that it can be understandable and choose an appropriate license in which can be used in the future. Benefit of open research data. There are several benefits of open research data, but first, it promotes transparency and reproducibility. Also, it encourages collaboration among researchers. This is worldwide or institutional or whatever. Also, it increases research impact and citations. Once you share your data, people can cite your work. They'll make you known all over. Also support innovation and problem solving. Here I've tried to put this diagram showing the benefit of open research data for both public benefit, researcher, and research community benefits. Let us start with a researcher. Benefit for you as a researcher. Your work will be cited, you get new collaboration, career recognitions, and for public benefit, once you share your research data, it validates validation of research, public trust in science, economic benefit for practice, for private sectors, also opportunities for citizen sciences. For researcher community, once the data are shared and put accessible or open, it can be used to generate new research mode possible, resources archived and preserved for the future. Your data can be used for the future research. Also easy to find useful resources. It also reuse in teaching. People can use researcher in the research community can use a mode of teaching. Aspect of open research data. Once we talk about aspect, it means features or consideration that come into a play when making research data open, accessible, and useful. Those aspects help to guide how data should be collected, managed, shared, and reused. Starting with technical. This aspect, it shows open formats, good documentation. When you mean good documentation, your metadata, how is it appeared, how will it be stored so that anyone can access it. By using CSV, a locked file format in which could make it difficult for someone to use those open research data. Also, other aspect is legal. This is clear state license specifying how data can be used and the intellectual property rights when sharing data. This example is applying in a Creative Commons license. The other aspect is ethical. In ethical aspect, it protects privacy and sensitive information. For example, anonymization by removing names from medical data set for those who are conducting a research on disease or once they collect their data, they can remove the names and put the data to be accessible without showing the names of those people who were interviewed. Also organizational. In organizational aspect, here we talk about good data management and reliable storage. Coverage or scope of open research data contents. When you talk about the coverage or scope, simply means the extent, range, and the type of information in open data. Open data can be across disciplines such as science, health, engineering, and humanities. Also, open research data can be across data types, raw data, processed data, and even negative results. Also, open research data can be across region, can be local, national, and international initiative. Last aspect is across format. In this compatible, flexible format, which widely accept standards to ensure interoperability of your data. Apart from those, despite of those, there is also a challenge in open research data. First is privacy and confidentiality concern. People are fear to share their data because they think they are private. The other one is intellectual property rights. People fear people will take their work and make them their own. While in open research data, there is a category which shows in the aspect of intellectual, in a legal aspect, where once you use someone data, you have to acknowledge. Also lack intellect, technical and infrastructure barrier. There is some other barrier in technical issues can hinder open data to be accessed. Also lack of training and awareness among researchers on the issue of putting their data open. Some of the other one is some of the researcher data are complicated to be reused without the support of the creator. So you may find there is availability of research data, but are complicated to be used by someone else without the owner of that data. So it need the assistant, the owner has to assist the other one to use his or her data. Also, sometimes it may not be possible to share sensitive research data. You may find some data which are very sensitive that cannot be shared or put in publicity. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention.